Hello. Hi everyone. Hello. Okay. How are you guys? How are you? Where am I? Where am I? Here I am. Okay. Hello guys. How are you? Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope everything is great. Today learn we're going to learn 5 phrases that you really need to know. 5 Spanish phrases, some common Spanish phrases. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream. I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members, Regulation D, Brianna L, Nick Ross, James Mullin, Robert Green, Michael Lee, Gregory Ramirez, Ralph Marquez, Ruby Brockenberry, Christopher Michael, William Lopez, David Beaver. Thank you guys for the support. Muchas gracias por el cafecito. El cafecito está delicioso. Delicioso. Thank you so much for the support. The coffee is delicious. And if you like what I do and if you want me to give you a shout out and become a Cafecito member, you can do that by clicking on the join button. If you want to know more about the membership, you can just click on the join button down below to know more about the perks, the fee, which is less than $3 a month. So yeah. Just feel free to check that out if you want to, of course. And thank you again, Cafecito members. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, here we go. Remember that I'm live streaming, so if you have any questions, please use the live chat for that. And also, if you want to practice Spanish, you can do that as well. If you want to say hola, you can do that. You can use the live chat. The only thing you gotta do first is subscribe. You have to subscribe in order to use the live chat. I see Saint Sear. Sear? Hola, saluditos desde Florida. Hello, Saint. Welcome. Saludos a la Florida. Florida in English, Florida in Spanish. I mean, it's just about, it's the same spelling, but different pronunciation, huh? Well, welcome. Okay, excellent. As I was saying before, we're going to learn 5 phrases that you must know, 5 Spanish phrases that you must know. And this is episode number 9. There's previous episodes, of course. If you want to just watch the previous episodes, you can just browse my channel. So feel free to do that. Excellent. So we're going to learn just 5 amazing phrases. 5 amazing phrases. I cannot wait. Let's see what we have. The first phrase is, well, this is a word, nostálgico. Do you know the meaning of this word, nostálgico? Nostálgico. Remember the intonation? You know, it's a bit tricky. It's not nostálgico. It's nostálgico. So now, what does this mean? This means homesick. Oh, when you are missing, I don't know, when you're missing your family, your home, when you really want to go back, maybe you are on a trip and your trip is long, you know, you have to be somewhere else for months, or you have to go to college or any place. You maybe have to work somewhere else, you know, you have to travel and work in another country. Who knows? You can feel homesick for sure. Now, this is a very common term used in Spanish, nostálgico. And of course, there's a feminine form, nostálgica. Okay? So you're pretty much saying that you're feeling homesick. But there's more to it. You have to learn how to use this term in Spanish. How can we use it? It's very easy. I'll show you some examples using the word nostálgico. Okay. Me siento nostálgico cuando veo las fotos familiares. Me siento nostálgico cuando veo las fotos familiares. So, let's see what this means. I feel homesick when I look at the family photos. That happens, of course. So let's break this down. Let's see how this phrase works, or rather this sentence works. It's very, very easy to use. Nostálgico, nostálgica. It can also be plural, nostálgicos. You just need to add an S at the end. Nostálgicos or nostálgicas. Okay, so you can have different words. It's the same word, but you can make it feminine, masculine, and plural as well. Okay, so let's see how this sentence works. Okay, me siento. This can mean two things. You're saying that you're gonna sit down. Me siento aquí. I'm gonna sit down here. Or you can also be referring to how you feel. Me siento cansado. I feel tired. Me siento feliz. I feel happy. Okay, so me siento is a great phrase when you want to tell others how you feel. In this situation, well, me siento feels. Me siento means I feel. Okay, I feel. And then we add how you're feeling. Nostálgico. Okay, when you say me siento nostálgico, that means I feel homesick. Okay, specifically when talking about your family and all of that, you can add more to this sentence, of course. Cuando means when. Cuando, when. So you can use cuando even as a question. Cuando. But when cuando is a question, you need to add an accent mark on top of the letter A, okay? Cuando, when, okay? But we don't have a question here, so we don't need the accent mark. Cuando, when. Veo, yo veo. That means I see, or I look, or I watch. So ver is the verb. So ver is the verb. It's a verb, and it means to see, to watch, to look, or to look at. Okay, so there is like different uses of the verb ver, and in this situation it means I look. Yo veo, tú ves, él ve, nosotros vemos, ustedes ven, ellos ven. So this is a very good, a very useful Spanish verb. And let me tell you that this verb is irregular. It's an irregular verb, so it has its own conjugation. So just remember that. It can be tricky for sure to conjugate irregular verbs, but you have to, look at its peculiar conjugation and memorize it and practice it, and then you will be able to master this verb ver. Okay. Las fotos means photos, or the photos. Remember, ver also means to look at, okay? So let's include to look at or look at. Las fotos, photos, pictures, same thing, fotos. familiares. Familiares, when you're talking about fotos familiares, you are referring to, or the meaning is family photos, okay? Fotos familiares. I know family in Spanish is familia, okay? But when talking about family photos, you can say fotos familiares or las fotos de la familia, okay? So there are two different terms there, familiares or de la familia. So you can say, me siento nostálgico cuando veo las fotos de la familia, okay? Or, me siento nostálgico cuando veo las fotos familiares, okay? So that's interesting. That's interesting. If you're missing your family, you can absolutely use the term nostálgico, but you have to add more to it. Why are you feeling homesick? Is it because you are looking at your family photos, or what specifically are you talking about? So it's good to add more information when using the term, nostálgico. So you're more, you explain why you're feeling homesick. Okay. Excellent. Oops. It's happening here. What is happening here? So let's remove this. Let's erase the red. Oh my God. Or maybe not. I always have problems erasing the underlining here. I don't know why the layers are like all over the place when I do that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Let's just look at another example using nostálgico. Nostálgico. Okay. Ella se sintió nostálgica durante el primer semestre en la universidad. Ella se sintió nostálgica durante el primer semestre en la universidad. So this is a longer example. It's a bit more complicated or advanced, not complicated, but just advanced. So it's not that difficult to know what's going on here. She was homesick during her first semester at the university. Yeah, she is missing, her family. She's feeling alone, maybe. So it's understandable for sure. So something very important to note here, to notice, is that you will use the verb sentir. It's a common thing to use, the verb sentir when you use the word nostálgico. So you're feeling, or you were, or you are homesick, okay? So sentir is a perfect verb that works with this word nostálgico. Me siento nostálgico. Ella se sintió nostálgica, or se siente nostálgica. So just keep that in mind, that it's a common thing to do in Spanish. You can use the verb sentir when using nostálgico. Ella means she. You don't have to say it here, but if you're starting to talk about her, then it's okay to be specific, Ella. Ella, she, se sintió. Okay, so we're using the reflexive pronoun se. We use a lot of reflexive pronouns in Spanish. So you can actually use these pronouns, reflexive pronouns, when using the verb sentir. Me siento. By the way, here's another reflexive pronoun. Okay? Me siento. Me, se, Those two are reflexive pronouns, and you will use them with the verb sentir. Okay? Sentir means to feel, or you can even use it to say to feel something touchable, tangible, and also something intangible. Is it intangible? Untangible? One sec. Yeah, intangible. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, intangible. Excellent. Sorry about that. Ella se sintió, so she felt homesick, okay? Or she was homesick. So in this situation, sentir is similar to saying she was, okay? Or ella se sintió, she was, okay? Nostálgica, nostálgica, homesick. Durante, durante means during. So even the pronunciation in English and in Spanish of this word durante is quite similar. Durante, during. Okay, it's a little bit similar. El primer means her first. I mean, you could say su primer semestre, durante su primer. So that's more literal. Su means her, okay? Her first when talking about, her things, or even his things. But su, yeah, that's very versatile. It can mean her as well. But it's common in Spanish to just refer to, the first semester. You're not saying her first semester, you're saying the first semester, but it's okay. In Spanish, that's a common thing to do. So her first, el primer means first. When you say el primer, her first or the first, okay? But it's interesting. It's not primer, primer, okay? Primer, first. Now, semestre means semester. So it's almost the same spelling here. Almost the same spelling, but it's not. There's some little difference there. Semestre, tre, semester. Okay, so we need to practice the pronunciation there. En means in, or sometimes on. En la mesa, on the table. En la caja, in the box. Okay. But also, en means at. ¿Dónde estás? Where are you? Estoy en la casa. I am at home. Okay? So, en can also mean at when talking about places. La, the, universidad. Universidad. Remember, the V sound in Spanish is similar to B as in bell, the English B as in bell sound. So remember that. Universidad. University. Okay. Ella se sintió nostálgica durante el primer semestre en la universidad. She was homesick during her first semester at the university. Oh, come on. It happens. Okay. So remember, nostálgico means homesick. Okay. Nostálgico can also mean nostalgic. Okay. Nostalgic. It can mean homesick. Okay. And that's pretty much what this term means. So nostalgic, homesick. So just keep that in mind. It has two meanings. Keep that in mind. Excellent. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions at all? Oops. Again, I'm having problems with this. Oh my God. Okay. Any questions? Any questions at all? That's a good one. It's not a phrase, but it's a good term to remember for sure. Okay. The next phrase is tómate tu tiempo. Tómate tu tiempo. So what does this mean? Tómate. It's not tomate. Tomate is tomato. Tomate, el tomate, the tomato. This is different. It has a different intonation. Tómate, tómate, because we have the accent mark at the beginning, almost at the beginning. It's on the letter O. O, O. Tómate, tómate. Tómate tu tiempo. What does this mean? This means take your time. So you can say this to someone. Of course, if you want to let them know, hey, I'm not in a hurry, you can take your time, okay? But it can also be used sarcastically. You know? Oh, yeah, sure, take your time. Claro, tómate tu tiempo. So it's about how you say it, the attitude, and yeah, in general, the whole context, right? So context matters. Okay, tómate tu tiempo. Tómate tu tiempo. Tómate comes from the verb tomar. Tomar means to take, or to grab. Okay, toma las llaves. Take the keys, or, just grab the keys, similar to that. Or in this situation, we're talking about time, right? Tiempo, el tiempo, the time, or just time. Tú, without the accent mark, because this one with the accent mark, if you add an accent mark, that means you. But when it doesn't have it, it means you're. Okay? Like here, you're. Tómate tu tiempo. Take your time. Okay, so now let's look at some examples using this phrase. It's a good phrase. It's definitely a good phrase. Okay. Tómate tu tiempo. No tengo prisa. Tómate tu tiempo. No tengo prisa. This means take your time. I'm not in a hurry. Okay, so this phrase is very useful if you want to let the person know, hey, I'm not in a hurry. Take your time. Take your time, please. So, tómate tu tiempo is the phrase we're learning, and that means take your time. Okay, this is another great phrase. No tengo prisa. Prisa means it means hurry. It also means rush, hurry. Okay, so date prisa, hurry up. So that's a different phrase. But when you say no tengo, that means I don't have. That's the literal translation of no tengo, I don't have. So you're technically saying I don't have hurry. But obviously in English, that makes no sense. So no tengo, it's like saying I'm not in a prisa, hurry. Okay, so the whole phrase no tengo prisa means I'm not in a hurry. Okay, so do not translate this word by word because it doesn't make sense, but no tengo prisa is very similar to I'm not in a hurry. Okay? Now, I would memorize this whole sentence. Tómate tu tiempo, no tengo prisa. Because it's so useful. It's so useful. Anyways, let's look at another example using tómate tu tiempo. Okay. Quiero tomarme mi tiempo. Quiero tomarme mi tiempo y pensar bien lo que haré. Quiero tomarme mi tiempo y pensar bien lo que haré. So this is more advanced, right? This is a more advanced sentence. And this means I want to take my time and think carefully about what I'm going to do. That's always good. That's always good. So this phrase, this part here, and this part here can change. In general, if you want to say take your time, you can just say tómate tu tiempo. But how about you? If you want to take your time, I want to take my time. Okay, so I need to think this through. So it's a very good phrase that can change. Obviously, it depends on the situation, what you want to say. And let's break this down. Let's see how this works. Quiero. Quiero means I want. Quiero café, por favor. I want coffee, please. Quiero dormir. I want to sleep. Quiero comer. I want to eat. So quiero is a great word. It comes from the verb querer, which means to want. When you say quiero, it means I want. Okay? Tomarme mi tiempo. I want to take my time. Okay? So quiero can also mean I want to do something. Okay? Usually, I mean, in English, you can say I want, but it doesn't sound complete, right? So I want to do something. So in Spanish, you don't have the to, something similar to, but you can just say quiero, and then add the rest. Tomarme mi tiempo. Why tomarme mi tiempo? What is the difference here? Tómate and tomarme, okay? Te is a reflexive pronoun, and you're referring to you. Tómate, tú tómate, okay? So you take something, in this case, time. When you want to say, I want to take me, I want to take, then you need me, tomarme. Tomarme. Me is another reflexive pronoun. It refers to me, I, okay? So tomar is the verb, tomar, and then you add the reflexive pronoun me, and then now you're talking about what you want to do. In this situation, I, right? Me means my. Tiempo means time. When you say quiero tomarme mi tiempo, that means I want to take my time, okay? So remember, tomar works with reflexive pronouns, and it's very likely that you will need reflexive pronouns when using the verb tomar, okay? Tómate, tomarme, tomarle, okay? Tomarnos, okay? So you need to know the reflexive pronouns here and how to use them. Okay, mi tiempo, my time. Y means and. Y, pensar, to think or think. Y pensar. Bien. When you say pensar bien, that means you need to think, or you're referring to thinking carefully, okay? Piénsalo bien. think carefully. Okay, so that's what you're talking about here. I know bien has other meanings. Bien means good, right? But when you're talking about thinking, you don't say think good, right? You say think carefully in English. In Spanish, you can say pensar bien, pensar bien. So pensar bien means think carefully, okay? Lo is, man, lo has quite a few uses. Lo can be a pronoun, okay? And it means it means him, it means you as well in certain situations. It can also be, it can mean other things, okay? But in this situation, you are referring to something that you're going to do. You don't know what it is, but you're going to do something. When you say lo que haré, that means what I'm going to do. So that whole phrase, lo que haré, what I'm going to do. Okay? That's what you're talking about here. When you say pensar bien lo que haré, that whole sentence, that means to think carefully about what you're going to do, or in this case, what I'm going to do. So it's similar to saying that. We don't have about here in Spanish, but you're implying when you're saying lo que haré, so what I'm going to do. So essentially you're saying think carefully what I'm going to do. We don't need about in this situation in Spanish or something similar to that. Okay. Excellent. So, quiero tomarme mi tiempo y pensar bien lo que haré means I want to take my time and think carefully about what I'm going to do. So this phrase can change a little bit. And let's actually change this last sentence and let's change it to something else. For example, you want to say, if you're talking about, like someone else. Okay. So you can say, tómense. Okay. Tómense. And we need an accent mark aquí, here. Tómense su tiempo. Tómense su tiempo y piensen bien lo que harán. Okay? What does this mean? Do you know? Do you know what this means? Okay, so this means take your time, okay? But what's the difference between tómate tu tiempo and tómense su tiempo? Tómense su tiempo, this one right here. You are saying this to a group of people. You're not saying this to one person. So that's the difference. It's for ustedes, for you, plural, okay? So tómense su tiempo. Take your time. When you use su, that can mean their, it can mean his, her time, his time, their time. But we know that we're talking to a group of people because of the verb. Tómense. Tómense means take, but you're saying this to a group of people. Tómense su tiempo, take your time. Y, again, y means and. Think, or piensen, piensen. Ustedes piensen. We don't need ustedes. We need piensen. That means, well, we need to add bien. Piensen bien. Think carefully. You, group of people, right? Lo que harán. About or what you're going to do. So we need to change this to you're going to do. Okay, so you're saying this to a group of people. That's interesting. That's interesting. So pay attention to that. Tómate tú can change to, to different, it can change because you need to conjugate the verb tomar. That's the first thing. And tú obviously can change because you will not always say this to one person. You can say it to a bunch of people. You can say it about yourself, right? You're saying that you want to take your time, or I want to take my time. So just keep that in mind. But if you just want to say, you know what, if you're thinking, I just want to learn how to say take your time, so then you can say tómate tu tiempo. That's it. So that's quite interesting. Quite interesting indeed. Okay, so that's it. That's it. That was tómate tu tiempo. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? I see some people got here. I see some comments. Let me see. Hurgens? Sorry, I'm butchering your username. What days and times do you go live? Man, I've said that before. I don't have a time or a day that I can tell you because I stream when I get a chance. But usually I stream every week. If you don't want to miss out, the streams and whatnot, well, just the streams really, you need to click on the bell notification icon next to the subscribe button and just activate or turn all the notifications on. So YouTube lets you know every time I live stream. Hopefully in the future, I can tell you a day and time when I do my live streams. But at this time, at this point, right now, I cannot not tell you that. But thank you for asking. I teach Spanish. I teach, the Spanish I teach is understood everywhere, all around, Latin America and also in Spain. I do not focus on one single type of Spanish. My Spanish is pretty general, so I don't talk much about certain words that are used just in particular areas in Latin America, for example, or in Spain. And if I do, I let you know where, if I know, I let you know where that word is used mostly. But yeah, so it's a very, my Spanish is understood everywhere. And that's the situation with Spanish. I can understand someone from, Spain, someone from Mexico, someone from Argentina, someone from Venezuela, because we still have the Spanish, a foundation, right? That is Spanish that we all understand. So the only thing that changes, is it's different little words here and there. It's not like, oh my God, I cannot understand what a Spaniard is saying to me. I cannot say that because I understand what they say. So it's just little words, expressions and whatnot that other people use in different Spanish speaking countries, but I do not focus on one. Yeah. So yeah, I always get asked that, like, are you from Spain? Are you from this other country? No, No, I don't, I don't focus on one kind of Spanish. Okay. Oda. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm picturing usernames here. Can it be tomar tu tiempo? Tomar tu tiempo. Well, it depends what you want to say. For example, if you want to say, te gusta tomar tu tiempo. You like taking your time. You like taking your time. It's not a question, so I don't know why I said it as a question, but it depends what you want to say. Sometimes you can say tomar tu tiempo in certain context, but if you want to say take your time, you need to say tómate tu tiempo. Also, you can make it formal, more formal. So you can say tómese, tómese, tómese tu tiempo. So this is formal. This is very formal. You're saying this to someone who you don't know, someone who is your boss, for example. Yes, you can say that. Okay. But if you are among friends and family, you use tómate tu tiempo. Okay. So that's the thing in Spanish. There's like a formal way to say things to someone and informal as well. But this one is informal. Oh, you're not seeing it. Sorry. Sorry. Tómate tu tiempo is informal. Tómese su tiempo. That's formal. Okay. So again, you're saying this to your boss, to someone who you don't know, or someone older than you. You can say it like this. Tómese su tiempo. Tómese su tiempo. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to say that. No problem, organs. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for that, and welcome. Okay, so the next phrase, guys. Let's see what we have here. We have another 3 phrases to talk about. So red. It happens to me all the time. Empezar con. Wow, okay. Empezar con el pie izquierdo. Empezar con el pie izquierdo. What does this mean? This is a long one. It's quite long. Empezar con el pie izquierdo. This means to get off on the wrong foot. So it happens. And it's funny when it happens. Sometimes it's, you can get worried, or maybe you are nervous, right? You're nervous and you accidentally said something that you didn't mean to say. I don't know. You can get off on the wrong foot with someone. That happens. So if you want to say that in Spanish, you can say empezar con wrong foot. In Spanish, you're saying left foot. For some reason, I'm not sure why. Empezar in Spanish means to begin or to start doing something. I don't know. Maybe because we're talking about certain things that happen at the beginning of an interaction. Maybe that's why. Con means with. Con ella, with her. Con él, with him. Okay, so con means with. El, the. Okay, pie, foot. And in Spanish, if you want to say feet, you can just add an S at the end of the word pie. Pies, los pies, the feet. In English, it's not like that. You cannot say foots, right? So, but in Spanish, it's easy. You just add the the letter S and that's it. Pies, feet. Pie means foot. Izquierdo, izquierdo means left. Okay? Izquierda, we're not saying izquierda. That also means left. Izquierdo and izquierda both mean left, but we're saying izquierdo because we're talking about the foot, you know? And the foot or foot in Spanish is masculine. So that's why you say el pie, the foot. And because this noun, pie, is masculine, you need to have a masculine adjective, okay? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's quite interesting how, you know, Spanish has grammatical genders. It can be complicated. Anyways, let's look at some examples using this phrase. Empecé con el pie izquierdo con tus padres al llegar tarde. Empecé con el pie izquierdo con tus padres al llegar tarde. This means I got off on the wrong foot with your parents by arriving late or because I'm late, you know. Oops, oopsie, it was not, I didn't want to do this, but I got there late. So now they're mad or something. I don't know, right? So that can happen. Yo empecé con el pie izquierdo, the whole phrase. That means I got off on the wrong foot, okay? And you don't need yo. You just need to conjugate the verb empezar. Yo empecé, tú empezaste, él empezó, nosotros empezamos, and so on. So we don't need yo here. Empecé con el pie izquierdo. I got off on the wrong foot. Con means with. Okay. Tus means your. Padres, parents. And we're saying tus and not tú because we have plural, padres. Okay, padres means parents. And if you have a plural noun, then you need tus padres, your parents, if you want to say that. Okay. Al llegar, similar to by, llegar tarde. When you use the term llegar tarde, that means to arrive late or to get there late, somewhere late. But right here we have the gerund arriving. In Spanish, we don't have the gerund. That would be llegando. We don't have it. We have the verb in the infinitive form instead. So remember that when you say al llegar tarde, that means by arriving late or by getting somewhere late. Okay? So keep that in mind. Tarde means late. Llegaste tarde, you're late or you got here late. Also, tarde means afternoon. So that's another meaning of tarde. But tarde means also late. Excellent. So yeah, oopsie, that happened. That happened, right? So that's an interesting situation. How can you fix that? You can just apologize a little bit, I guess. You can just say, I'm sorry. Lo siento. I'm sorry I'm late. Lo siento que llegué tarde, right? Anyways, so let's look at another example, and let me just erase the red here. It's too much red. Too much red everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the next example is Miguel y yo empezamos con, I'm going to have to move this up a little bit. Oops. El pie izquierdo. ¿Qué puedo hacer? Miguel y yo empezamos con el pie izquierdo. ¿Qué puedo hacer? Okay, so this is the letter P. Anyways, so what are we talking about here? This means Miguel and I got off on the wrong foot. What can I do? What can I do to fix the situation? Right? Man. Miguel, that's the other person. Miguel, Michael, okay? Y and yo and I, yo, I. Empezamos, so we have the phrase we're learning right here. Empezamos, nosotros empezamos. We don't need nosotros because we're talking about Miguel and I, right? So that's why we're saying empezamos. But we don't need nosotros, of course, because we already said Miguel and I. It's like saying Miguel and I, we, you know, ... So we don't need the we here, of course. Empezamos con el pie izquierdo. So the whole sentence, the only thing that changes is the verb empezar. This one right here. Well, you don't see it. This one right here, right? So you need to know the conjugation of the verb empezar if you want to use this phrase. Anyways, Miguel and I got off on the wrong foot. That's a statement. ¿Qué means what? Puedo. Yo puedo. We don't need yo in questions. Personal pronouns in questions are really not necessary. So that's why we don't have yo here. But that means puedo means can I. Okay. Hacer. Hacer means do. Hacer is a verb that means to do or to make. Estoy haciendo comida or la comida. I'm making food. Okay. Estoy haciendo ejercicio. Well, that one is different because when you say hacer ejercicio, that means exercising. So that's a whole different phrase. But hacer means to make or to do. When you ask the question, ¿qué puedo hacer? ¿Qué puedo hacer? That means, what can I do? So that question can be used in different situations. If you want to say, what can I do? ¿Qué puedo hacer? ¿Qué puedo hacer? Okay, so that's a very useful question right there. Okay, so remember, if you want to use this phrase, you need to know the conjugation of the verb empezar. Empezar is a great verb that means to start, to begin. But in this situation, it doesn't mean that. In this phrase, the meaning is completely different. Empezar is an irregular verb, so you need to know its particular conjugation. Okay? So keep that in mind. Excellent. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Man, that's another good one. I don't know why they say a left foot. I like more the English one. Wrong foot. I don't know. It makes a bit more sense. Maybe because I'm a lefty. I don't know. Okay, let's continue. Remember that you can just leave your questions. Just use the live chat. Type away. You can just leave the questions there. And whenever I get a chance, I'll look at the questions and I'll get to them for sure. I can answer them. Very useful. Gracias. De nada, Mari. Mari Shoes Gardener. I like that username. That's pretty cool. Mari Shoes Gardener. I like it. Welcome. Welcome. And de nada. You're welcome. Welcome and you're welcome. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's learn another useful phrase. Ooh. This one is pretty good. Yeah. Yo invito. Yo invito. That sounds a little like Latin, you know? Yo invito. I don't know. I mean, Spanish comes from Latin pretty much, right? So I get it. Yeah. Yo invito. Yo invito. What does that mean? It means my treat. Essentially, you're saying, I'll pay. Don't worry, I'll pay. My treat. Yo invito. Okay? So this one is a good one. I like it. Okay. If someone says, Yo invito, no te preocupes, my treat, don't worry. That's nice. That's nice, right? Or you can say this, right? If you want to pay for someone's meal, for your family, your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, this is great. This is a really good phrase to use. Okay, so let's look at some examples. By the way, before we look at the examples, yo means I. You know that, right? Yo. Okay. Invito comes from the verb invitar. Invitar has quite a few meanings. Invitar means to invite, right? It means to invite. That's one of the meanings. Also, it means, when you want to pay for something, you can say yo invito, which means my treat. Invitar also means to buy for someone. Okay. When you say, for example, I want to take you out to dinner. So you are inviting essentially in Spanish, you're using the verb invitar to say that. I want to take you out to dinner, something like that, or to eat something. So invitar can be used in those situations. And essentially you are inviting or paying for someone. So that's what you're saying. Okay. Now let's look at the examples. Let's see. Okay. Vamos a salir a almorzar. Yo invito. Vamos a salir a almorzar. Almorzar is an interesting verb. I'll tell you what it means in a second. Okay, so this means let's go out to lunch. My treat. So let's go out to eat something. In this case, lunch. And you're saying yo invito. Okay? Yo invito. Now, vamos means let's go. Okay? When you say vamos a, you're adding more to the sentence. Vamos a. So you're saying, let's go to a place, essentially. You're saying that, you know, you want to go to eat lunch somewhere. You want to go to a party. You want to go to buy groceries. So you can use the phrase vamos a. Vamos a. And then it's a very common thing. A common thing to do is to add some verb right after. Vamos a salir. Vamos a comer. Vamos a ver. Okay, so the verb has to be in the infinitive form. So that means don't conjugate it. Vamos a salir. That means let's go out. To almorzar. Almorzar means to eat lunch, essentially. The verb almorzar. It's a very good one. So it's a more advanced verb because you could say vamos a comer lunch. Even lunch is a common word that can be used in Spanish. Lunch. Vamos a comer lunch, or vamos a comer afuera. That's just in general saying let's go eat out. Let's go out to eat anything, right? But almorzar means to have lunch or to eat lunch. Vamos a salir a almorzar. Vamos a salir a almorzar. Let's go out to lunch. That's essentially what you're saying. And then you have the phrase, yo invito, my treat. Okay? Yo invito, my treat. Excellent. Now, I see you guys are saying te invito, te invito. Is te invito correct? You can also say te invito. Essentially, you're saying I'm gonna pay for the food. So you can say yo invito, common thing to say, or you can also say te invito. But this is trickier or more. It's more difficult. It's more tricky. Why? Because this can change. When you say yo invito, you can use it, you know, if you're saying this to a group of people, to one person. But if you say te invito, you're saying specifically you're paying for one person, you know? Te invito. I'm paying for you, just one person. But you can say les invito, and that means I'm paying for the group, you know, for anything that the group will eat. That's not, you're not paying for the group, you're just paying for what they're going to eat. Okay, so if you want to keep it easy, you can just say yo invito. Yo invito. Okay, so that means my treat. I will pay for whatever, you know, one person, two people, or 10, 20, 50. Okay, so it's easier. So it's up to you if you want a challenge. And it's good to learn how to say different, the same thing in different ways. Te invito can also work, but that is very specific. You're paying for one person. You're paying whatever that person is eating. Okay, so yo invito is more general. You're just saying, I'll pay, my treat. Okay, great thing to mention. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So now let's look at another example using this phrase. La vez pasada me invitaste a comer. Hoy yo invito. Okay. La vez pasada me invitaste a comer. Hoy yo invito. Okay. So what does this mean? This means last time you paid for dinner. Today's my treat. So today I will pay. So don't you worry. Don't you worry. Right? So that's a common thing to do among friends when they pay for you once, pay for lunch once, and then you have to pay for lunch the next time. So it's a common thing that happens everywhere, everywhere. So let's break this down. La vez pasada, uy, this is a great phrase. La vez pasada means last time. Okay, so vez means time when you're talking about different times, you know. In this situation, last time. Pasada means last. In this situation, like the phrase la vez pasada means last time, specifically. Tú me invitaste. When you say me invitaste, that means you paid or you invited me. Okay, so you don't need to have tú, but you need to have me, because you are using reflexive pronouns. Will always be when they're needed. They need to be when you need them to be there. So me, so you're referring to, you know, you paid for me, me, for me. So invitaste again comes from the verb invitar, which means to pay for someone or to invite someone. In this situation, you paid. When you say invitar a comer as well, when you include a comer, invitar a comer, that means that you will pay for the dinner, for the meal. So that's very specific, right? So for dinner, I know it's not a literal translation, but the term invitar a comer, that means to invite or to pay for someone's dinner. Okay, so te quiero invitar a comer. I want to take you to eat somewhere. Okay, so that's what you're saying. The term invitar a comer means to take someone to eat something, you know, and usually you will pay for it. You will pay for it. You have to pay for the meal. Okay. Hoy means today, right? So yo invito, my treat. Similar, if you say hoy yo invito, that means today's my treat. Okay, so today it's time for me to pay. Today. I will do it today. Hoy yo invito. Excellent. So it's a very interesting phrase, yo invito. And there's a few things. It's crazy that we have the same verb invitar here, right? So interesting. We have yo invito, me invitaste. It's a common thing to do in Spanish, to use the verb invitar, to say, to pay for someone's meal, to invite them. Te invito a mi fiesta. I'm inviting you to my party, or yeah, that's what you're doing. Te invito a mi fiesta. I invite you to my party. Just come, please. So yeah, invitar is a great verb. It means two important things. Definitely. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Mika, I don't understand the first part of your question, but then you say telenovela o película? Telenovela, soap operas, or movie? Both are different things. Película, movie. Telenovela, soap opera. Yeah. Man. Okay. Welcome, by the way. Okay. The last phrase that we're going to learn today, guys. Señal de alarma or mala señal. Señal de alarma or mala señal. Those two terms can be used in specific situations. Those two terms mean red flag. That's a common thing that happens. You see red flags left and right sometimes, you know. Somebody is behaving in a peculiar way. They're showing some red flags. So if you want to talk about that, you can use the terms señal de alarma or mala señal. Okay? So interesting terms. They can be used in other situations, of course, but we're going to focus on red flag, okay? The term red flag. So let's look at some examples using this terms. La falta de comunicación en una relación siempre es una señal de alarma. La falta de comunicación en una relación siempre es una señal de alarma. This whole thing means lack of communication in a relationship is always a red flag. Yeah, it happens. It happens. This is advanced Spanish right here. You know, you're not saying I want coffee in Spanish. You're saying something more complex. So it's good to talk about this for sure. How can we use this expression, this phrase, those phrases, two phrases to say red flags or just red flag? Okay. So let's break this down and let's see how where is the phrase here? Where is it? It's right here. Señal de alarma at the end. Okay? So, la falta is an interesting term. Falta can mean lack or shortage. Also absence of something. Okay, so in this situation, we're talking about something lacking. Okay, so the lack of something specific. So when you say la falta de, that means lack of. And you're going to add more to it, of course. And what are we lacking of? Comunicación. Comunicación. This is a long word. Comunicación. And that means communication. The English one is also long. Communication. Almost similar spelling right there, but different pronunciation for sure. La falta de comunicación means lack of communication. Okay, or the lack of communication. En means in. Remember, en can mean in, on, or at. Una, a relación means relationship. So this one is shorter. The English one is longer. Yeah, it's easy to remember. Relación. Relación means relationship. Of course, relación can mean also connection. It's similar to saying connection, relationship, relation as well. So that's an interesting term for sure. Es siempre, no, sorry. Una relación siempre, what am I saying? Siempre, let me just remove the red here. Siempre means always. Okay? Es is. Una, a señal de alarma red flag. Okay, so this is true. That can be a red flag if the person is not communicating, the person is not expressing what they feel, what they don't like or like. That could be a potential red flag, because the relationship might suffer. Maybe there's not gonna be some understanding, like what's going on. There can be a lot of confusion for sure. So, la falta de comunicación en una relación siempre es una señal de alarma. Lack of communication in a relationship is always a red flag. Okay? So, señal de alarma, red flag. We use the first one. Of course, you can say es una mala señal. So instead of señal de alarma, you can also say mala señal. Okay? And it works. So you can use either one. Either one. They mean the same thing. Excellent. The next example, guys, and the last one, the last example is la manera en que se comporta Miguel es una mala señal. La manera en que se comporta Miguel es una mala señal. This means the way Miguel behaves is a red flag. Okay? So pay attention. Pay attention. Okay. So this is an easier example. We're just saying that certain behavior is not good. That is a red flag. So let's break this down and let's see how this sentence works. La manera. La manera means the way. Okay? La manera. Manera, way. La, the. Okay? En que, this is more complex. We're in English, we just have the name, right? But in Spanish, we need more. When you're saying the way something is, you have to add a bit more in Spanish. La manera en que, okay? La manera en que se, this is a reflexive pronoun. This means what or that in Spanish, but this is a completely different thing. We're not translating word by word. We're seeing how Spanish works. La manera en que se. So, en is also commonly used when saying la manera, okay? La manera en que se comporta, behaves, Miguel, we have it the other way around, right? Es una, a mala señal, red flag, okay? So this is interesting. Comportar means to behave. Me comporto bien, I behave. You're saying something like that. Se comporta mal, misbehaves. Someone misbehaves, right? So comportar works with reflexive pronouns, and that's why we have se. Why? Because we're using comportar and because we're referring to Miguel. Okay, so he's behaving, not Maria, not me, not you, but Miguel. So that's why we have se comporta. Okay, se comporta Miguel the way or Miguel behaves specifically. Now, en que, when you say en que, these two, en que, That refers to, for example, you're saying that, similar to saying that, similar to saying when. It depends on the situation. In this situation, we don't have an English translation, but when you're talking the way someone is behaving in the situation, you can say la manera en que, right? So la manera en que se comporta. It depends what you want to say, of course. I'm trying to give you another example using la manera. Okay, let me change the example so you know what I'm talking about. Okay. La manera en que, let's change this. La manera en que okay, so this is just an example. So you know that when talking about this term right here specifically, la manera en que, we have cocinas, which is a different verb, which means to cook, right? We don't have a reflexive pronoun because we don't need it for this verb. La manera en que tú cocinas, right? So you're saying the way you cook. We're not talking about red flags here. You cook, right? Me gusta means I like it, or I like, depends what you want to say. Like it a lot. Mucho. Mucho means much and also a lot. So la manera en que is a whole phrase that can help you say more about the way someone does something specifically. So just remember that. It's just a whole phrase here that you need to remember. And I always do this. Okay? So just remember that. In this situation, we're talking about someone cooking. But in the previous situation, we talked about someone behaving. So we had it like this. Let's go back to what we had. Okay. So here we have the reflexive pronoun, right? We have la manera en que plus reflexive pronoun plus verb. When you need a reflexive pronoun, you will put it there. When you don't need it, well, you just put the verb right after, and that's it. So just remember that. So I just wanted to let you know how this sentence works. But in general, I mean, we're talking about red flags. Okay, so you can also make this plural, of course. If you're telling someone, hey, he doesn't have, like, we have a lack of communication and the behavior is, red flags. Both of those things are red flags. You can make this plural, malas señales. Okay, so malas señales is plural. We don't have the plural thing here, but I'm just gonna do it up here so you don't get confused. Malas señales, okay? Plural. Señales de alarma. So that's plural right there. If you're talking about red flags, more than one. But if it's just one, then you can just say señal de alarma and mala señal. Okay, so that's it, guys. Do you have any questions? Jesus, I mean, I'm trying to explain every single detail. And I think that's useful because sometimes I get questions from people saying, why are you using this specific word right here? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And that's because you're translating a word by word from Spanish into English, and it doesn't work that way. Don't do that because it doesn't work that way all the time, just sometimes. So you need to understand how Spanish works, helpful phrases that will help you make sense in Spanish. And you will understand how Spanish works. Oh, sometimes you just don't have to, you don't have to understand, you just have to do it. But it happens in every language, in every language. Excellent. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for stopping by and for just watching this stream. Thank you so much. I hope you learned a few things about Spanish. And man, those 5 phrases are really useful to know and very commonly said in Spanish, used in Spanish. So feel free to practice. You should practice using these phrases if you want to master Spanish. Excellent. So remember that I live stream every week. And if you don't want to miss all the streams, you need to click on the notification icon next to the subscribe button and turn all the notifications on. So YouTube lets you know every time I live stream. If you want to support this channel, if you like this lesson, please give it a like. That helps me a lot. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can check out the Cafecito membership. So if you want to read about the perks and the monthly fee, you can click on the join button down below. I have also a Spanish community on Discord. You can join for free, but please read the rules before joining. If you want to join the community, just click, well, you can find the link in the description down below. Excellent. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. And I'll see you next time. Adiós. Hasta luego. Cuídense. Bye.